Have you ever felt like your thoughts are like this tangled mess? No matter how much you pull or try to fix it, the knots just seem to tighten. That's rumination, a messy, repetitive cycle of thoughts that keeps us stuck, stealing our clarity and peace. I've been there myself. After experiencing a major personal setback years ago, I found myself replaying the same painful moments over and over again, convinced that if I thought hard enough, I could rewrite the past. Instead, I became stuck in a cycle of self-blame and sleepless nights. But I broke free, and so can you. Let me tell you about a client I worked with, John. After his divorce, he couldn't stop thinking about what if. What if he had done things differently? What if his partner had been more understanding? His constant rumination made it impossible for him to move forward. But with targeted steps, he learned how to quiet his mind, reclaim his peace, and rebuild his life. Rumination is the process of repeatedly thinking about the same distressing events or thoughts. It's like a broken record in your mind, playing the same tune of regret, worry, or frustration on loop. Dr. Susan Nolan Hoeksema, a renowned psychologist, described rumination as the focused attention on the symptoms of one's distress and on its possible causes and consequences, as opposed to its solutions. Why do we ruminate? It's our brain's default mode. Our brains naturally wander when it's idle, often revisiting unresolved issues. It creates the illusion of problem solving. We believe that replaying events will lead to solutions, and even though it really does. And it also happens because of emotional triggers. Feelings like guilt, anger, or fear can amplify repetitive thoughts. There's also about perfectionism and overthinking. Our desire for control or clarity can lead us to overanalyze. Rumination operates as a self-perpetuating cycle driven by emotional triggers and cognitive patterns. It often begins with a negative emotional state such as guilt, shame, fear, which acts as the spark. Now, these emotions are powerful accelerants because they demand attention, urging the mind to analyze, to question, and to replay the events or the issues that caused the distress. Once triggered, the brain's natural tendency to seek patterns and solutions takes over. And this can initially feel productive, as though you're working through a problem. However, the mind often loops through the same unproductive thoughts, offering no resolution, but only deepening emotional distress. And this repetitive loop becomes reinforced over time, strengthening neural pathways in the brain, thinking of it like carving a groove into a piece of wood. The more you go over it, the deeper it gets, and the harder it becomes to shift away from that path. Cognitive distortions such as catastrophizing or all or nothing thinking also play a role. These mental traps make the issues seem larger or more hopeless than it truly is, and that feeds the cycle of rumination. For example, a small mistake at work might spiral into thoughts like, I'm terrible at my job, I'll never succeed. The social factors can further exacerbate rumination. Comparing oneself to others or receiving external criticism can amplify the negative emotions at play. Similarly, cultural or personal beliefs, such as equating self-worth with perfection or even success, can keep individuals stuck in this cycle, striving to solve what feels unsolvable. Ultimately, rumination creates a false sense of control. It tricks the mind into believing that replaying the problem repeatedly might somehow yield a solution. And in reality, this mental habit drains your energy. It impairs problem-solving abilities and it entrenches feelings of helplessness, making it increasingly difficult to break free without conscious effort and intervention. The impact of rumination is far-reaching. Let's look at some examples. Prolonged rumination is linked to anxiety, depression, and chronic stress, Overthinking magnifies problems, making them seem insurmountable and fostering a sense of hopelessness. It also creates emotional distance as your energy is consumed by inner turmoil, and that leaves little room for meaningful connections. Partners or loved ones may feel neglected or even shut out. Productivity plummets as you struggle to focus, weighed down by these repetitive thoughts. Tasks that once felt manageable may now feel overwhelming. And rumination often leads to poor sleep, headaches, or even stress-related illnesses like high blood pressure or digestive problems, as the body reacts to this constant mental strain. Overthinking every possible outcome of a decision can also lead to analysis paralysis, where no decision is made at all, and that compounds your stress and missed opportunities. And constantly replaying perceived mistakes or shortcomings can erode your confidence, fostering a negative self-image and making it much harder to engage positively with the world. Let's look at some examples in real life of rumination. Replaying a heated argument with a loved one and trying to think of better comebacks is definitely rumination. Obsessing over a mistake at work and imagining the boss's judgment, or repeatedly questioning why a friendship ended. Reliving embarrassing moments from social interactions, worrying about a missed opportunity and regretting not taking it. Overthinking a decision you made and fearing its consequences. Constantly imagining what you should have said during a breakup, focusing on minor health symptoms and fearing the worst diagnosis, feeling guilt over a parenting decision and questioning your abilities, rethinking every detail of a failed project, blaming yourself entirely, or fretting over whether you offended someone with a comment, and finally, reliving childhood trauma, wondering how it shaped your present life. Those are all examples of rumination. So I always like to give some practical action steps, and here is some advice for how to stop yourself when you are ruminating. Name it. Identify when you're ruminating and label that thought pattern. Schedule worry time. Allocate 10 to 15 minutes daily to address your concerns and then move on. Engage in mindfulness or meditation to center yourself in the present moment when this happens. Shift your focus by engaging in an activity that requires concentration, like a puzzle or a walk or whatever works for you. Challenge your negative thoughts. Ask yourself if the thought is a fact or an assumption. Write it down. Journaling can help externalize and organize your thoughts. But seek solutions also. If the thought relates to a problem, focus on actionable steps to solve that problem. And practice gratitude. Redirecting your mind to what you're thankful for in the present can help a lot. Talk about it. Share your thoughts with someone you trust to gain perspective. It really helps. And limit your triggers. So avoid situations or content that exacerbate overthinking, like social media, for example. You can also do deep breathing because that'll help to calm your mind by focusing on slow, deliberate breaths. And finally, seek professional help. If rumination feels unmanageable, seek guidance from a counselor or a therapist. You are welcome to reach out to me if you need help with that. If you're ready to free yourself from the grip of rumination and start living with intention, join our Get Up and Grow online community. We explore more strategies, we share stories, and build resilience one step at a time. Visit us today to take the first step towards clarity and growth. Rumination doesn't just steal your peace. It creates ripples that impact your loved ones, colleagues, and even your health. By breaking this cycle, you can reclaim your clarity, your relationships, and your joy. The question is, are you ready to begin?